I'm Harper, 29 years old. I've been so caught up in work that I've been single for over 10 years now. My mother started asking, "Haven't you found a good man yet?" I don't want to be single. I would love to find someone special to date or marry. So I jokingly told my mother, "My knight in shining armor hasn't come for me yet, so I guess I have to go looking for him myself." To my surprise, she arranged a blind date for me. It was set up by a staff member at her regular beauty salon. I was hesitant, but she said, "It's supposed to be casual." Apparently, it's not a formal blind date. A woman who goes to the same beauty salon as my mom was complaining about her son not getting married, and the thoughtful hairstylist introduced her to my mom. "Well, you don't have to get married. Just meet him for now. But I hope he's a good person." I don't know what he looks like or what he does, since there's no profile of each other. All I know is what my mom heard from the hairstylist. Apparently, he's a salesperson. You know, the luxury car dealership near the bypass? He's a salesman there. I might go take a look, my mother said, clearly excited. I'm looking forward to this new encounter too. But unlike personal dating, blind dates involve considering each other's families and circumstances, since marriage is on the mind. That could put us at a disadvantage, or even lead us being avoided. "Mom, do they know about our situation? Some people might object because I'm from a single-parent home and I dropped out of high school." When I was in high school, my father, who ran a business, took his own life due to debt. The recession hit us hard, and he just wore out. My mother tried to support the family and company alone, but collapsed from stress and exhaustion. I was so worried about my mother that I dropped out of high school to protect her health and the company my father left. I worked desperately to rebuild the company. I thought we were going to go bankrupt, but now we have a small company with 10 employees. We manufacture and deliver specialized kitchen equipment, and we're on good terms with major hotel restaurants. I don't regret my choices, and there's no issue at work, so I don't worry about it. But since my mom feels remorse for not letting me graduate properly, I started attending an alternative high school last year. "Well, I think the hairdresser has told them. I explained everything, so they must have been fine with it when they contacted us," my mother said. "That makes sense." "Oh, Harper, you worry too much." And then came the day of the blind date. My mom and I went, thinking it was just a casual meet and greet, but the other family showed up, all dressed up. The mother was in a dress, and the father in a suit. They were dressed well enough to attend a wedding. My mom and I exchanged surprised looks at their level of sophistication. Is this what we were expecting? Are we okay with this? A shadow of doubt crossed my mind. As for my blind date, wow, so much perfume. How much did he put on? His hair was slicked back with hair gel. He's 47, but his hair is considerably receding. He's wearing an expensive-looking suit, but it doesn't suit him well, which is unfortunate. My mom and I dressed in casual, stylish suits, but nothing over the top. It seemed like there might have been some miscommunication. The other family stared at my mom and me, then suddenly smiled condescendingly. What's with this family? They give off a bad vibe. I didn't have a good impression from the start, but I kept a straight face, as is the social norm. We all introduced ourselves and sat down for the blind date. The restaurant was in a top-rated hotel, known for its delicious food. Lunch was reserved. The other family whispered amongst themselves. I was curious about what they were talking about, but after all, this was a blind date. To get to know the other person, I decided to strike up a conversation. "So, Mason, you work in car sales, right?" I tried to start a conversation by mentioning Mason's occupation, but Mason replied, "Not just any car. I'm a dealer for high-end foreign cars that ordinary people like you can't afford. I'm the top salesman every month. Even the chef of this restaurant is my client." Excuse me? He started babbling about things I hadn't even asked about. Leaking customer information is a big problem, and calling me an ordinary person who couldn't afford such cars was rude. Mason continued, "Harper, your looks are... well, they pass, but you have no common sense. You didn't even wear a dress to a blind date. And your future mother-in-law didn't wear one either. You must be poor people who don't even own a dress. No! We were told it was a casual dining experience. It's not something you say to a blind date, especially a first-time meeting. I'm puzzled by these strange rules. Like wearing a dress is common sense. We were told it was a casual get-together, without profiles or a matchmaker. My mom and I were dumbfounded that Mason's parents didn't admonish his words. Unaware of our reaction, Mason continued talking. If you want to marry me, you'll have to always wear makeup and look beautiful. You'll have to wake up earlier than me, do the household chores, and go to bed later. And then, he rattled off absurd conditions. At this point, there probably aren't any women left who would want to marry him. It's certainly impossible for me. Excuse me? Not knowing where to start, Mason's mother asked, "Excuse me, but where is your father? Is he not here today?" I was surprised inside. Didn't she get the message? It's just my mother. When I answered, Mason's mother exclaimed, "Oh my, a single-parent family?" and looked at the father and son exaggeratedly. Mason said, "That's quite a deduction." And his father added, "Why would you introduce a daughter from a single-parent family?" They spoke as if it was a terrible thing, right in front of us. What's wrong with this family? I've never seen such an uncivilized household. Unlike my gentle mother, I am a bit hot-blooded, and this made me angry. What's wrong with being from a single-parent family? It's not something the child can control, is it? I meant to ask calmly, but it came out sarcastic. Mason spouted an unbelievable theory. Single-parent means divorced. People who divorce couldn't see their partner's true nature. They lack judgment. There's no way a child born from such a foolish parent would be decent. There are other reasons for single parenting, like illness or accidents, and even if it's divorce, what's wrong with that? My mother quietly said, "It's not this child's fault. She's from a single-parent family." I could see she was holding back her anger. Mason's tactless father asked, "So Harper, what's your highest level of education? You probably didn't receive a decent education in a single-parent home, right? Did you finish high school?" Mason's mother boasted, "Our son graduated from a private university," naming one I'd never heard of. "So where did you go, Harper?" Mason grinned infuriatingly. I really didn't want to say it, but lying would be pointless. I'm a high school dropout. A high school dropout! That's even worse than just graduating high school. See? There's nothing good in a single-parent home. Mason's father gloated. I couldn't hold back. We had our reasons. What's the big deal? Is it such a problem that I'm a high school dropout or that we're a single-parent family? Even if you went to a great university, I think we're much better than people who are rude to strangers they just met. I don't want anything more to do with this family. People with low education get angry easily. Being a high school dropout and from a single-parent family means you're at the bottom of society. It's natural to be looked down upon. I would be too ashamed to live. Mason's father taunted. Oh, absolutely! Mason and his father laughed uproariously, though I had no idea what was so funny. My mother and I have never lived shamefully. When Mason's father stopped laughing, he said, "Really? We came here for an arranged marriage, and a single-parent family with a high school dropout won't do. Go home. You're wasting our time. I never want to see you two again." He waved us away, as if shooing stray dogs. Did he really have to go that far? I've never been ashamed of my choices, but to be looked down upon so directly? Maybe that's why it never happened before. Mason, being Mason, said, "Harper sure has a pretty face, but to be my wife, she needs to be strictly trained by my mom. Being a high school dropout with only one parent, she's probably lacking common sense." No way. Impossible. A shiver ran down my spine, and I forgot my manners and yelled, "Who would marry you?" At that moment, my mother quietly placed the bag she had set aside on her lap and took out a business card from her wallet. She called someone on her smartphone. "Hello, this is Smith. I'm canceling the car I reserved last week. My daughter is on a blind date with your sales rep right now, but his father just said he never wants to see us again. We talked for over 2 hours last time, but he doesn't seem to remember my face. The catchphrase on your business card says, 'Heartful service is our motto,' but it seems that looking down and insulting others is his idea of heartful. Please work on employee training as well. I'll never buy from you again, but I hope no one else has a bad experience." My mother slammed the phone down. Mason, his parents, and I were all shocked at my mother's fierce stance. When I asked, "What's going on?" my mother explained, "I wanted to know what kind of person Mason is, so I went to buy a car last week. I thought it would be a nice wedding gift if you two got married. Mason, you were the one who handled the sale, but you don't seem to remember. You're the lowest ranked salesperson, and you begged for help and added special options to the deal." My mother had gone with a male coworker who knew about cars. Mason spoke only to the male employee, and his attitude was pretty bad at the time. He ignored my mother so blatantly that the male employee got angry and wanted to leave without buying. Then Mason cried, "I've been told I'll be fired if I anger another customer!" and apologized almost to the point of bowing down. When my mother and the male employee reluctantly returned to the negotiation, Mason tearfully refused to discount the price and added special options, making the final price more than double. The male employee kept whispering, "This is way too expensive. It's definitely better to buy from another store." And my mother reserved the car, but went home. "I thought I'd buy it as a celebration if you married, in case you liked Mason. It would be troublesome if the groom became unemployed, but since we're never meeting again, we can't buy the car. I have to cancel." My mother explained calmly. Mason's mother explained the situation calmly, and Mason finally remembered. "Oh, that time," he said, turning pale. Mason's parents were also tense at the unbelievable situation. Mason blurted out, "That's a lie! There's no way a single-parent high school dropout family could buy a luxury car. You never intended to pay." My mother calmly replied, "I really intended to buy it, so I said nothing." But Mason screamed, "It's a lie! It's a lie!" Mason's father said, "Nonsense! There's no way our son is performing poorly." Mason's mother also yelled, "Our Mason is excellent, you lying mother and daughter." I was taken aback and said, "Please stop. Can't you be quiet? Aren't you embarrassed?" Trying not to disturb the other guests, I attempted to quiet down the Mason family. Just then, the chef of this restaurant arrived. "Mr. Smith is not like that. I've been listening to you talk down to people and shouting since a while ago. Who do you think you are?" he said. Actually, the chef is a valued customer of our company. We've been selling machines for creating trendy smoked dishes for several years now. Our machines are unparalleled, with the ability to adjust the amount of smoke and smoking time in a compact space. They're selling like hotcakes. We're a company known to chefs all over the world. The chef then clearly declared, "I don't want to deal with a dealer who has such a terrible salesman that looks down on people and easily leaks information about single parents and high school dropouts." And the surrounding customers burst into applause. I found myself applauding too, and couldn't help but laugh. Not just my mother, but the chef and the other guests were on my side. It felt empowering to know that I had so many allies. I decided to speak my mind to Mason. "Mr. Mason, even though I am a single parent and a high school dropout, I haven't lived my life in shame. I can't imagine marrying someone who looks down on others at first sight. So there must be no connection between us this time. Goodbye, forever." Once again, my words were met with warm applause from those around me. Mason couldn't reply directly to me. Instead, he whined to his mother, I'll get yelled at by the boss. I'll become jobless. Mom, please say something. I heard him crying to his mother. It was disgusting, and he deserved it. Mason had been warned that he was on the brink of being fired, and with that personality, it seemed likely he'd have many troubles. His parents looked as though they had been humiliated, their faces twisted in disgust. Served them right. To add insult to injury, the chef told them, "You don't need to come to our restaurant again. Please leave." And the Mason family left without a word, looking dejected. As an apology for the disturbance, the chef served coffee to all the customers in the restaurant and treated us to a special dessert. Though it was an unbelievable blind date, it turned out to be a day when I was touched by the kindness of others.